Today we're taking a look at the ever controversial Crunchyroll Awards, and we're starting off right away with the biggest of them all, Anime of the Year. Personally, I don't think this list is actually too bad. I think it's pretty solid. The only thing is obviously the kaiju in the room. I don't know if you've ever seen that meme, "What's a polar bear doing in Arlington, Texas?" That's pretty much how I feel about Kaiju number 8's nomination. The most glaring miss, in my opinion, is obviously ReZero, but I am a mega fan, and even though I am delusional, I am also self-aware, and I do realize that ReZero may be the type of anime that is not for everyone, even though you could also say that about some of the other anime here, but still, if you didn't nominate ReZero, I think something like Blue Box or even something like Dragon Ball Daima would be more deserving of the nomination over Kaiju number 8. It really stands out in the middle of all of these anime as something that should not be here. I don't know why Kaiju number 8 was nominated, but it shouldn't be here. As far as my pick goes, I do think that Solo Leveling and The Apothecary Diaries are a step below the top 3. I do think they are both excellent anime at what they do, but are less complete, and either Dan Dan Dan, Dungeon Meshi, or Freerun are all three excellent picks. If you pick any of them for Anime of the Year, my only response will be, that checks out, have a nice day, sir. I won't really argue that. To me, I won't even pretend like I have some sort of super well thought out rational explanation. To me, Freerun slightly edges it out. Why? Vibes only. I will say I enjoyed Freerun just a bit more than Delicious in Dungeon, and I think Dun 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 should be a bit penalized for that ending, which is like the episode just ended. It was very anticlimactic and a very bizarre midway point to end the series. So to me, Freerun is my Anime of the Year, but as I said, if you pick Dun 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 or Delicious in Dungeon, we can still be friends. We can also be friends if you pick any other thing, it doesn't matter, but for purpose of the conversation. We're going to skip categories which I either do not care for or just don't have a well-established enough opinion or haven't watched enough shows. From this list, I only watched Spy Family Code White, so I'm obviously not going to vote on this one. It's just, may the best film win. Best Continuing Series. Once again, this list overall isn't too bad, it just has one very bizarre pick which stands out, which in this case is Demon Slayer, because this season was only 8 episodes, if I recall correctly. It was a very short season, it even had to be padded with anime-only content, it wasn't very eventful at all, it was more of a buffer season in between the previous season and the final one, which will be epic and very well animated, I'm sure, but this one by itself, I don't think deserves a nomination at all. Once again, I am spreading the ReZero agenda, but I don't see why ReZero, which had one of the best seasons ever, I don't see why ReZero isn't here. It is just bizarre to me. If I could pick from any anime, I would obviously pick ReZero. I think it is the worthy winner for this category, but picking from this list, I will say Oshinoko Season 2 takes the prize for me because it has the best arc, in my opinion, of the entire series. I liked it slightly more than both Spy Family and Bleach, and so Oshinoko takes the prize of Best Continuing Series. Or should I say, it takes my vote. I don't know if it will take the prize. Hopefully it will. Best New Series, and this is where things start getting a bit ridiculous. I don't see why you would have a category with the exact same nominations as a previously established, more important category. As you can see, you are not crazy, these are the exact same picks as they were for Anime of the Year, so I just don't even see the point in this. If you're not going to have any sequel in Anime of the Year, then you just remove this category altogether because it doesn't even make any sense. I tried to do some sort of mental gymnastics in my head where perhaps Freerun was the Anime of the Year, but Dun 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 was the best new series because it had the most impact, and even then I don't even know if that's true. I could not find any reasonable answer to the question of why wouldn't I simply reiterate my pick from Anime of the Year, and because I don't have a good answer, I will simply pick the same thing, Freerun. And once again, in terms of new series, I think that Kaiju number 8 should not be here. Best Animation, and once again, what is Kaiju number 8 doing here? What is a polar bear doing in Arlington, Texas? I mean, it's not bad, but I wouldn't say that anybody was hyped or surprised by the level of animation in Kaiju number 8. It's just not that good. It's good, but it's not best animation of the entire year good. Once again, I would never accuse anybody of anything, but it would not surprise me if someone from the executive team at Crunchyroll was having intimate relationships with someone from Production IG. It would not surprise me. I would never accuse anybody of anything. This is merely a joke. Please don't sue me. But this is quite a suspect nomination. That's all I'm going to say. Demon Slayer is also quite a strange pick. I know it seems like blasphemy to not put Demon Slayer on the best animation category, but this season was once again very short. It had very few eventful moments where the animation could even shine. I don't see why this pick is here. It's almost like the obligatory pick that they have to put here no matter what, but this season in particular I think does not deserve it. Instead, looking at the anime that came out this year, for best animation instead of those two, I would suggest maybe Oshinoko, Shangri-La, even ReZero, even Windbreaker, Wistoria as well had super good animation, Dragon Ball Daima, especially the final episodes. There's just so many picks where I don't think you can justify having these two over any of those I mentioned. As far as my personal pick goes, I do think Dan 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 slightly edges it out over something like Solo Leveling and Frieren, even though those two also have incredible animation. I just think that the thing about Dan 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 is that it's so different, it's so trippy, it's so imaginative with every single episode. It really uses animation in such a creative way that for me it edges it out. Best character design, and once again, what is a polar bear doing in Arlington, Texas? Why is Kaiju number 8 here? I swear to God, this propaganda push of Kaiju number 8 is just crazy. It was a good anime. I didn't even dislike it. I want to be perfectly clear. I enjoyed Kaiju number 8, but my goodness, it does not deserve anywhere near all of these nominations. As far as my personal pick goes, I would probably give it to Oshinoko Season 2, which unfortunately I cannot vote for. I also think something like Bleach should definitely be nominated, even though it's a bit cheating because it's an older anime. Bleach's character designs are just goated, they're just so good. I could also see it giving it to that, but besides that you also have Blue Box, which is mega underrated because it's a romance anime, but I think the presentation and the character designs are also pretty good, even if they're not as imaginative. Speaking of imaginative, I could also see it giving to something like The Elusive Samurai, which was also very trippy and had some crazy character designs. And maybe even something like Mahoka, which I don't think Season 3 was anything special, but the designs for Mahoka are also super slick, super aesthetic. So yeah, I just don't see the Kaiju number 8 nomination once again. The Demon Slayer one, I can perhaps see it because it doesn't really matter the length and the animation this time, it's just the character designs. But my personal preference, I think Bleach and Oshinoko Season 2 should definitely be here. The others are arguable, and Oshinoko, in my opinion, is the victor. Unfortunately, I cannot vote for it. When I voted on this for the first time a few days ago, I voted for Dan 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 for best character design, but I take that back. Looking again, I'll just vote for Dungeon Meshi because, in my opinion, it has very imaginative, very cool character designs, and it has a wider cast, so you have more cool designs, and also the chicken. For those who watch Dungeon Meshi, you know what I'm talking about. It gets my vote. Best romance, I'm not actually going to vote for this one. For those who know me, I'm not a super aficionado of romance anime, so out of this entire list, I really only watched Blue Box, which I greatly enjoyed, but I think it's a bit cheating if you only watch a single anime and vote for it. That's just a bit silly. But I will say, it is strange to me that something like Spice and Wolf was not nominated for this category. Once again, maybe it is inferior to these other nominations. I did not watch them, therefore I will not comment on it, just something that I noticed. Best comedy. I watched all of these ones with the exception of Rama and a Half, or Rama 1 divided by 2, or just Rama, however you're supposed to pronounce that. I will say that Shika no Kono Kono Kokoshi Tantan was a massive hype that just ended in a flop. It just fell off super fast. The first episode was very funny, the second one was the third one was and after that it was just it was just, I didn't find it funny, I dropped it. So to me, obviously it won't get the nomination. I think it's a toss-up personally between, I don't know, actually I'll take that back. I don't even think it's a toss-up. To me, it's just Spy Family Season 2. I think it was the most consistently funny anime out of these ones. I think that Marshall had a bit of a more shonen-esque serious arc, which is not bad by any means, but it does take away the comedy bit. I think the same thing for Delicious in Dungeon. It got progressively more serious, even though if it was always wholesome as the series went on. It is also a very funny series, but to me, overall, the funniest series is Spy Family, which, yes, I do find funnier than Konosuba. I know some people will disagree with that, but to me, Spy Family takes the cake. Best action, and once again the propaganda machine is kicking at full force because what is a polar bear doing in Arlington, Texas? What is Kaiju number 8 doing here? It's just, why? No, just no. And also for Demon Slayer, best action, listen, the little action that it did have was very good, but you can't nominate an anime that pretty much only had one serious fight right on the final episode for best action. It's just, that's a bit forced. Instead of those, I would nominate Dragon Ball Daima and Shangri-La Frontier, although I think you could also maybe perhaps nominate ReZero because this arc was more action-oriented and it did have some banger fights, so even though, in my opinion, I don't think it deserves to win, perhaps you can argue for the nomination. As far as my personal pick, I think that Solo Leveling is deserving of the win because it is just so good, and action, and fights, and hype moments. The animation is so crisp, the fights are so good. A part of me does want to give it to the underdog Windbreaker just because I love gritty and impactful fights so much. No powers, no magic, no nothing, just fists and two dudes brawling and giving it to each other, which is super cool to see, but I have to be honest here, and my pick for best action is Solo Leveling. Best Isekai Anime, and thankfully, Kaiju number 8 is not nominated this time, thankfully, but we still have a very strange pick. And listen, it is not my expectation that everybody at Crunchyroll knows a lot about anime. It is still a company. I'm sure that the back-end dude who works on the video streaming and the nice HR lady who nags you every month for the invoices, I'm sure that maybe those people perhaps are not super experts on anime. However, the panel of judges or whoever makes these nominations, it would be my expectation that whoever interfaces with the fans and makes these nominations would be an expert or at least very knowledgeable about anime. And guys, Shangri-La is not an isekai. Unless Crunchyroll is changing the meaning of the word to just mean whatever it wants, isekai is transported into another world, which according to almost everybody would not include putting on a VR headset and playing a video game. If I open up my Steam and play a random video game, am I getting isekai'd? Am I getting transported into another world? Perhaps metaphorically I am, but strictly speaking, I think that's a bit of a stretch. So I don't see why Shangri-La is here. It is not an isekai and should not be here. As for the winner, I think that for most people will come down to a race between Mushoku and ReZero. To me personally, in case you're new to this channel, I don't really like Mushoku. I tried many times to give it second chances. I tried my best to like it. I really wanted to like it, but I just can't. Even though I have my own preferences and biases, just like every single person does, I will give credit where credit is due. I think that Mushoku Tensei is one of the best world-building anime of all time. Its locations are just so iconic, so memorable. When I think back to this season, I think about the desert with the dragon skeleton on top of it, and the University of Mages, and all of these cool locations that really stick in your mind, and tiny details like each location having its own soundtrack. It's just so cool. I think on that aspect in particular, Mushoku is one of the greatest anime of all time. But as far as everything else goes, I prefer ReZero. ReZero wins. I think this ReZero season was phenomenal, both in terms of character moments and action and just overall story progression. Everything was just so good, from the soundtrack to the voice acting to everything. ReZero was just, this season was incredible. To me, this is one of my picks for anime of the year, so obviously it takes the prize as Isekai of the year. Best Drama. This list is perfectly fine. I didn't watch the first two nominations. I also think Frieren shouldn't be here. I don't really think it's a drama. I wouldn't characterize it as such. If you think Frieren is a drama, then almost every anime is a drama by that logic. But still, my personal picks, even though I thought Pluto was very good, I think it was not as good as Monster from the same creator. I think I came in with a bit too high expectations, and so Pluto ended up disappointing me a little bit. Even though it's still very good, I just didn't like it as much as Monster. So to me, the winner of this category would go to either Oshinoko Season 2 or The Apothecary Diaries, and for me personally, in terms of drama, I think The Apothecary Diaries slightly edges it out. Best Main Character. Most of these nominations are fine, but guys, once again, what is a kaiju doing in Arlington, Texas? Like, why is Kafka Hibino here? It's just, over Subaru from ReZero, that is actually crazy. That is crazy. And I would even, over Kafka, I would even nominate, let's say, Goku, one of the most iconic protagonists of all time, or maybe even Isagi from Blue Lock, or any of the main characters from Spice and Wolf, or just, I don't know. And also, wait, the protagonist from Dungeon Meshi isn't even here, so... Dude, Kafka, Hibino, come on, just stop the propaganda. This is too much. Guys, listen, once again, I would never accuse anybody of anything, but, hypothetically speaking, for comedic purposes only, do not sue me, I think somebody either took money or is sleeping with somebody, because this is strange. This is very peculiar behavior. Very strange. Very, very strange. I was looking through the anime of the previous year, and I was going to make a list of every single main character which I think is more deserving than Kafka Hibino of being nominated for best main character, but I realized the list is just huge, so we're not doing that. Either way, to me, my personal pick for winner is here, so I'm going to vote for it, and it is Mao Mao from The Apothecary Diaries. I know this may be a little bit controversial to some over Frieren or over Momo, which perhaps Momo would be my second pick, but to me, Mao Mao is just... And I know this may sound hyperbolic, but she is one of the best main characters of all time. I just love her so much. The show is very main character centric. It revolves around her a lot. She carries the entire show, sure, but she does such a good job at it. She's just so eccentric and quirky and fun to watch. She's so entertaining and so smart. It's so fun to follow her thought process and seeing her solve various mysteries. She is my personal pick for best main character of the year. Best Supporting Character, and I'll be honest, I don't think any of these picks are necessarily outrageous. I definitely wouldn't put Turbo Granny for a nomination of Best Supporting Character, but still, I don't think any of these picks are super bad. It's just, me personally, I would limit one pick per anime. I don't think having two characters from Frieren and two characters from Dan 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 is really justified, especially with so many great supporting characters from all of the other series. And personally speaking, if I had to nitpick, I don't think Turbo Granny is worthy of the nomination. Either way, my pick for best supporting character is Senshi from Dungeon Meshi. To me, it's a toss-up between Fern and Senshi, which could technically also be both considered main characters of their own series, depending on who you ask, and honestly, it's not a discussion I'm willing to have. I think they should probably be considered main characters, but either way, if we do consider them supporting characters, I think that Senshi slightly edges it out for me because he provides more humor and more support, literally, to the main protagonists, and I think he just adds so much to the series. So does Fern, but to me, I just enjoyed Senshi's presence more. Best Must Protect at All Costs character, and this list is just super bizarre. I think that Crunchyroll is either way too loose with the nomination categories, or it just doesn't understand their own categories, because how is Frieren, one of the strongest characters in its own series, nominated for Must Protect? Protect from who? From herself? Maybe. I don't know. And also, guys, I know there was a lot of memes with Senshi, but come on. Senshi is a grown man dwarf thing, and come on, he does not need to be protected. Even if you take it in the sense that they're super cute characters that you just want to cuddle or whatever, it just seems bizarre to me. It seems off. I'm not going to nominate Senshi for Must Be Protected, or it's just weird. So my pick here for this is Anya Forger. This is to me the Anya Forger Award, and it should be given to her every single year as long as she comes out with a new season of Spy Family. So it just goes to Anya. Every other pick is silly. I'm sorry. Best Anime Song, and once again, what is Kaiju number 8 doing here? Like, come on! I would even nominate the ending, but not the opening. It's just... I don't know, it seems like every single year there is an anime that is massively overvalued for no reason at all. Last year was Zom 100, which was nominated for a bunch of stuff it didn't deserve in my opinion, and now is Kaiju number 8. I don't know what is up. If these awards are paid, there has got to be a money exchange behind the scenes. I refuse to believe this. Once again, this is purely a joke for comedic purposes. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. Don't sue me. Anyways, for my personal picks, I would take out Abyss and I would take out Level. I don't think there's nothing wrong with Level. It's more K-poppy, but that's not really my cup of tea. I personally don't vibe with it. If you like it, that's fine. Just not what I prefer. To me, I would put an opening from Tatsuya Kitani, which is missing here, which is the opening for Loser Ranger. To me, that is the actual anime song of the year. That is just so good, and I can't believe it wasn't nominated. They're not even restricting it to one artist per song, I think. At least they didn't say so. No, because it has two from Creepy Nuts, so they can't have only one artist per song. Either way, Tatsuya Kitani, the opening for Loser Ranger, is my personal anime song of the year. I don't think it's opening of the year because the animation in conjunction with the music, I think there are stronger openings, but in terms of song only, to me, that is my winner. Also, and I think I'm forgetting some openings which had quite banger songs, but the opening I was talking about is Black Box by Lisa, which is an absolute banger by the queen of anime openings herself, so go check it out if you haven't already. Back to the past. There is one at least, which is also by Tatsuya Kitani. I think it's one of the openings for the Rurouni Kenshin reboot, which I did not watch, but I listened to one of the openings and it was very, very good, so I would probably nominate that one as well. And obviously, the opening for ReZero Season 3, it should be here. I think the ending is a bit better, but the opening is still very, very good, and it should be here without a doubt. Anyway, because I cannot pick Loser Ranger's opening, I have to go from these picks, and from these picks I think that the best song is Bling Bang Bang Boom. I think that Otonoke, the opening for Dan Dan Dan, is better as an overall opening, as in animation plus song, but in terms of song only, I think the opening for Mashle takes the cake. Best opening sequence, and it's just a joke at this point, isn't it? How does Kaiju number 8 have so many nominations? And the opening for Kaiju number 8 isn't even good in terms of animation. It's actually crazy. It is actually crazy. The absolute propaganda this anime has behind it. Anyway, my personal winner for opening sequence is the opening for Dan Dan Dan, because it has a perfect combination of song and animation. I love the animation for the opening of Dan Dan Dan, with the little shake and the dance moves and the demons and the rain and every cool shot it has. There's so many cool shots in that opening. To me, it takes the winner of best opening of the year. Best ending sequence, and this is the first one where I really think Kaiju number 8 deserves the nomination. So my rival for this year's nominations, but I think this one is super deserved, and if it wasn't here, I just burst out laughing because that would actually be very funny. But no, I think that Nobody is one of the catchiest endings of the year. It deserves to be here. Besides that, I also think that the second ending for Oshinoko is very good, even though the first one was just legendary and much better. The second one is also good, and also Kamakura Style, the ending for Elusive Samurai, is also super catchy and was on my ears for a very long time. Having said that, the obvious winner of ending of the year is Nox Lux from Myth and Droid, from the anime ReZero. It's so obvious. It's by far the best ending of the year. It's a banger song with banger vibes and banger animation. Not necessarily the animation, but more so the vibes and the presentation with all of the evil characters, and then Subaru at the end getting uplifted by his friends, and the song is so good. It's Myth and Droid. Why is it not here? It's just... I refuse to vote for this category out of pure protest. Nox Lux is the true winner of ending of the year, and nobody can tell me otherwise. Best voice artist performance, and this one is actually super tough. And hold up, isn't Aoyuki? Hold up. So after a quick Google search, I have confirmed that Aoyuki is the voice actress for both Mao Mao from Apothecary Diaries and Capella from ReZero, which, if I'm being honest, in body of work alone, that would probably be enough to take the prize. However, I think the way they're going about this, because they have the anime image on this, I think the way they're going about it is one voice performance per anime, and so I can't vote for body of work. I'm super conflicted about this, but I actually think that, to me, the voice actress for Momo slightly edges it, just because her voice is so charismatic and her performance is just so memorable. I can't quite put my finger on why, but even when watching Dan 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 for the first time, one of the first things that stood out to me was Momo's voice, because it's just so good and so memorable and so delightful to listen to. Either way, if you voted for Aoyuki, I would also completely understand. Have a nice day, sir. I won't even try to argue that. It's a perfectly fine pick. Also, and I do have to mention, it is very surprising to me, since Crunchyroll Awards tilt so much towards popularity, why the main character of Solo Leveling isn't nominated, because his voice actor was amazing. One of the best voice acting performances of the entire year, especially if we're counting the first season. So to me, that's a very glaring miss. I think it's one of the best things about the show. Very strange miss, but either way, I think it's a three-way tie between him, Momo, and Mao Mao, and to me, Momo takes it. And these are my winners of this year's Crunchyroll Awards. Keep in mind, I skipped a lot of categories that I either didn't care for or didn't watch enough shows to have an informed opinion. So I think a lot of categories could go either way because there are a lot of worthy contenders for many of these categories. It was an excellent year of anime that should be celebrated. I wouldn't be mad if a lot of other anime won. Having said that, there are the usual very, very bizarre nominations. I just cannot understand the fascination with Kaiju number 8. It was good, but it was also mid. It's just, I cannot comprehend it. But either way, I think it's almost a feature and not a bug. I think that Crunchyroll always wants to be a little bit spicy and a little bit controversial to get fans engaging with it, and even though I know it's bait, I will still take it. Either way, be sure to leave your picks on the comment section below, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and ciao!